Hello everyone, Cheppandi Chepputelsu Ledukadu. Hope you people are awesome. And good morning everyone. So today is 15th November 2025. Really good. And my name is, I forgot my name. My name is Shubham Sagar. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and I will share this particular Hindu analysis PDF by 9:30 a.m. on this Telegram channel. Fun study with you. Really good. So, good morning Vikas, good morning Jivan, good morning Gajanan, good morning Iltush, good morning everyone. So, let's start the discussion. Hope I'm audible. Yes, I can hear myself. So let's start the discussion, guys, without chepanding any more time. That means without wasting any more time. So yesterday I gave you people two questions. Very good. One question related to transgender healthcare carrier mean healthcare. Oh my God, healthcare barriers. We have talked about the Transgender Act, what Tamil Nadu is doing, and then we have talked about some issues related to transgender people. So what is the answer, guys, of this particular question? Chepandis and Chepandis fast. That means, tell me fast. What is the answer? And again, this is not an easy answer. This is actually a tricky question. And here you have to use option elimination. We have discussed what are the stigmas, what are the problems transgender people are facing. Many of you or many people, they don't even know the definition of transgender, what is sex affirmation surgeries, etc., or gender affirmation surgeries. We have discussed that. So Iltush is giving the answer. First is wrong. Even healthcare providers, they don't have comprehensive training in lifelong transgender health needs, and that's why in 2019 the transgender act was passed by central government, but Tamil Nadu is doing a lot of things from 2008 only. So Iltush and Vikas, they have given the answer. First is wrong. If first is wrong and then you see the second and third, their general statement, they are correct. D is the answer as stated by Iltush and Vikas. Very good. Then MCQ 11. Inflation rate appears artificially low even when market prices are rising. What this situation is best explained by what? Yesterday, day before yesterday, we talked about inflation. It is in news and it is continuously in news. It is in news today also. Big people are writing articles on it. So we talked about inflation or base effect, core inflation, headline inflation, CPI, WPI, Phillips curve, this curve, her means people's curve, this and that. So what is the answer, guys? Good morning, Matt King. Why inflation rate is appearing artificially low compared to even though the market prices are rising? Because of the base effect phenomena. Last year inflation was higher because, and we are comparing ourselves with last year, and that's why the inflation is appearing to be smaller or lesser. B is the answer, guys. B. Again, revised. I think you people did not understand the base effect. We have discussed this thousand number of times. 2024 the price is 100 rupees of something. In 2025 the price is 120 rupees, so inflation rate is 20%, and in 2026 the price is, let's say, 132. So based on the previous year, inflation rate is only 10%. So the inflation rate may seems to be lower, but actually prices are increasing, and it is seeing you're seeing it to be lower because last year the increase happened at a drastic rate. So this is base effect. And Vikas has given the answer. Very good. So let's move on to today's article. So answer of MCQ 10D, do revise yesterday's article, guys, and day before yesterday's article as well. Let's come back to the present and let's talk about the first article of the day, again related to yesterday's and day before yesterday's article. But even if you're reading it at standalone, you will understand this. Very important. If an editorial start appearing on economy related articles, they are important. More so when C. Rangarajan sir is writing this article. Flexible inflation targeting, a good balance. So what this article is talking about, we already know. We have Monetary Policy Committee, which was created in around 2016, and they have a mandate to maintain inflation between 4 plus minus 2%, 2 to 6% bracket. And why certain amount of inflation is needed, we have discussed Phillips curve earlier. A trade-off between inflation and unemployment. You need a certain amount of inflation so that producers are incentivized to produce more goods and thereby reducing unemployment. So again, here C. Rangarajan sir and NR Bhanu Murthy sir, they will talk about how much inflation is actually needed. And every 5 years, in 2016, Monetary Policy Committee and this whole flexible inflation targeting mechanism came into picture, and they promised themselves that they will review it every 5 years. Review it every 5 year means what? Like they have currently this mandate 4 plus minus 2%, right? So in 2021, they again had a look at it, whether it is a correct bracket or not. And then in March 2026, they will again look at it, whether we should do away with this 4 plus minus 2% or bring something else. India become the first country in South Asia to provide universal health care for transgender. Very good, Vikas. Cool. So let's talk about this particular article. MPC, it is due for review in March 2026. This whole 4 plus minus 2%. That means the inflation bracket should be 2 to 6%. Whether it should change or not, it will be reviewed in March 2026. In that regard, Rangarajan sir has written this article. Also, we have talked about it, how inflation appears to be so low, this and that. So you will again gain some more perspective here. We will talk about, there are some terms which are important from exam perspective, like Chakravarti Committee. When was it formed? Different committees have been asked by UPSC earlier. Kirit Somaya Committee, Chakravarti Committee. Then there was a committee, if you know it, posted in the comment section, which talked about doubling farmers' income. What was the name of that committee? Have we doubled farmers' income? Yes or no? So again, what is the name of the committee which was created to double farmers' income? And what is the status of that committee? We create it, we forget it. So Chakravarti Committee was created in 1985. And according to Chakravarti Committee, we have to keep inflation, 4% inflation is acceptable. Here, this article will also talk about those things. 4 plus minus 2%. Very good, Vikas. Which is the committee associated with doubling farmers' income? Any idea, guys? So, Chakravarti Committee, it was created in 1985. Let me show you who is this Chakravarti sir. Before that, what used to happen, we will also talk about it. There was a problem which our country was facing. So, if you see this sir here, he is Sukhmoy Chakravarti. He led this particular monetary system committee in 1985, where he talked about we should target, we should keep inflation within certain range. 4% inflation is acceptable. So do keep in mind Sukhmoy Chakravarti or Chakravarti committee associated with what? Iltush has given the answer, doubling farmers' income. Ashok Dalwai committee. Very good, yeah. So these committees are actually important. Ashok Dalwai. What is the status of that committee? Have we doubled farmers' income, or it's just an utopian idea, or you just transfer 10,000 rupees to women just before an election, you win that election, and then nothing else matters. So Ashok Dalwai committee, doubling farmers' income. Chakravarti committee, inflation. So now there are again certain economic terms which we have to understand. What is that economic term? And then we'll see some quadratic formula also. There was a time in 1970s, 1980s when monetization of fiscal deficit used to happen. And that's why maybe Chakravarti sir in 1985 came up with this whole thing that we have to target inflation. Now, these are the terms which are important. What is monetization of fiscal deficit? What do you understand by monetization of fiscal deficit? So, fiscal deficit, just think of it as borrowing. So our earning is 100 rupees, we are spending 150 rupees, so we have to borrow 50 rupees. Fiscal deficit, there are different types of deficit: fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, effective revenue deficit, blah blah blah. So you are borrowing 50 rupees. Now government has to borrow. Now think of it as like government is spending, means earning 100 rupees, government is spending 150 rupees, so government has to borrow 50 rupees. Fiscal deficit. Now, government does not want to borrow it from international agencies or outside, or maybe other entities are not giving us money. So what they will do? They will do this, monetize, or they used to do this in 70s and 80s, monetization of fiscal deficit. That means they will ask RBI to print money. Print money, give us money. We need money. RBI will print money and RBI will give that particular money to government. That is monetization of fiscal deficit. Now government will spend. Now what has happened? Government has got the excess money, printed money, but the supply has not increased. So what is happening now? More money is following the same amount of supply. So what does it mean when I say government has to spend more money or government is taking this money? So it's not like government will give money to, let's say, government employees, etc., etc. So these employees, they have more money in their hand. They are willing to spend more, but the supply has not increased. Let's say the supply is still constant. So what is happening? More money is means chasing the constant amount of supply, which will lead to inflation, which led to high inflation in 70s and 80s because of this monetization of fiscal deficit. And that's why many people say that printing money is not the solution. And that's what led to Chakravarti committee stating in 1985 that we have to target inflation. Otherwise, they will keep on doing this monetization of fiscal deficit and inflation will keep on increasing. But we have seen Phillips curve. And Phillips curve states that inflation and unemployment has a inverse relationship. You need certain amount of, inflation to curb unemployment. But too much inflation is not good, because then you are spending too much money to buy the same amount of good, right? Let's say, again, so high inflation, it acts as regressive consumption tax, hurting the poor more than the rich. And that's why inflation has to be controlled. That's what Chakravarti committee said, 4%. Even current, D. Rangarajan sir, etc., they are saying that MPC, they are means focusing on 2 to 6%, but they should focus on the median point, that is 4%, rather than focusing on 6%. If you go closer to 6%, growth is impacted a lot. So what this article will talk about, they have given a quadratic empirical relationship between inflation and growth. And then they have talked about certain key terms. Phillips curve trade-off is not valid in the long run. What does it mean? Phillips curve establishes a inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. Inflation increases, unemployment decreases. So ideally, you may feel like, okay, let's increase inflation to 10%. That will curb all unemployment in our country, India, because we are majorly impacted by unemployment. But that does not happen. After a certain point, even though if you increase inflation, you increase the prices of goods, unemployment will not decrease. So Phillips curve trade-off is not valid in the long run. It's not like it will happen for an indefinite period. So you need certain amount of inflation, but you cannot keep on increasing inflation because it will erode the purchasing power. Cool. So what amount of inflation is the optimal inflation? How much amount of inflation is awesome for growth, for curbing unemployment? So let me show you something. You will understand what we are discussing here. Let me show you a graph. You don't have to do PhD in this quadratic empirical relationship. You just have to look at the graph. So see this. This is today's article we are talking about. C. Rangarajan sir and R. Bhanumurthy. And this is the relationship they are talking about. See. So y is equal to 0.2, again, x square plus x plus. You don't have to read quadratic equation, linear equation, guys. What you have to understand here is, based on, like, this is y axis, this is x axis, this is inflation, and how inflation is determining growth rate. So they have their own quadratic formula. We don't have to do PhD there, but when they are looking at this quadratic formula, they solve this quadratic formula to determine y, that is growth rate. You will see that, the growth rate and inflation, when inflation is around 4%, growth rate is, hovering around 6 to 8%, around 7%. But when inflation increases further, let's say 14%, 12%, then the growth rate will decline. So the optimal inflation rate, where they are seeing that even growth is, growth rate is increasing or is optimal, and unemployment is decreasing, that is 4%. So even 6% bracket is too high. That's what this article is talking about. So what is the inflection point? What is the optimal inflation which we should have according to D. Rangarajan sir and the other person who has written this article? 4%. So current band 2 to 6% is flexible, but article is saying, editorial is saying that we should not be going near 6%, because in growth falls sharply beyond 6% inflation if you see that particular graph. So we should try to be around that 4% limit, the midpoint or the median. And that is what this article is saying. Going beyond 6% is bad. Going near 6% is also not optimal. Earlier, what used to happen? Earlier, monetization of fiscal deficit used to happen, because of which inflation used to increase. We have just discussed what is monetization of fiscal deficit, and that's why in 1985, Chakravarti committee came and they talked about keeping inflation around 4%. And we also did certain things. Oh my god, in 2003 we brought this particular, just give me a second, this particular FRBM Act, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, where we asked government to, to curb fiscal deficit. Let's say they have this borrowing, keep it around 3% of GDP, so that if you are reducing your borrowing, you don't have to do this monetization, you don't have to print money, and there will be not too much inflation. So this is FRBM Act. The problem with Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act is we kept on shifting the goalpost. The goalpost kept on getting shifted, and that was the problem. And then this FIT, flexible inflation targeting, which was introduced in 2016. So we are doing certain stuff to maintain fiscal discipline, to keep a optimal balance between growth and inflation, etc., etc. So okay, Hope you understood some part of it. You don't have to do PhD, but you have to understand certain terms. And then this article is talking about which inflation we should focus on, core inflation or headline inflation. So headline inflation will include food and fuel prices, all the components of CPI. Core inflation is headline inflation minus food plus fuel, which are very volatile. So this article again, Srirangarajan sir, etc., they are saying that no, headline inflation should be the target because food and fuel prices, they impact the vulnerable population more. So yes, whatever we are focusing on, the focus should be on headline inflation only rather than core inflation. Cool. So 4 plus minus 2% band is fine. We should not go tilt towards the 6% band. At the same time, state and central government should also maintain strong fiscal discipline so that this monetization of fiscal deficit, which used to happen earlier, it does not happen again. So that's what this article is talking about. We have to solve some question so that we can understand the technicalities involved in this article. So let's say this is a mains question or 10 marks, 150 words. So critically examine the performance of India's flexible inflation targeting framework since 2016. And there was an Urjit Patel committee which came and which suggested this particular flexible inflation targeting. We should focus on keeping inflation in check rather. So they meet bi-monthly, etc., etc. And like let's say the target is 2 to 6%. If in beyond 3 quarters, or if for more than 3 quarters, the target we are beyond this 6% target, then RBI will write to government why this is happening and what they should do. So flexible inflation targeting, and the benefits of this flexible inflation targeting has been that more or less from 2016 to 2025, this inflation has been in that particular range only. It's very rare, like whatever we were reading yesterday or day before yesterday, inflation hovering around 0.25%. This is a rare scenario, and that's why we are talking so much about it. But more or less, it has remained in that particular bandwidth. That is one of the success. So should the inflation target or band be revised in 2026? What this article is saying, we should remain in this bracket 4 plus minus 2%, but we should take care of the fact that we are not nearing 6%, because according to their y and x graph on growth and inflation rate, 4% is the optimal range. So we should hover around 4%, and we should not go beyond that. So this is fine, but we should not go near 6% bracket. That's what you have to talk about. So here you initially, when you're asking me, you're writing an answer on this particular question. First of all, you can define what is flexible inflation targeting, how it works, when was it introduced, which particular committee recommended it, blah blah blah, and then it has been successful to a large extent, and should it be revised or not. There is also talk whether it should be revised on the basis of headline inflation or core inflation. You will say that no, it should be on the basis of headline inflation only because it includes food and fuel, which impacts vulnerable population. So it's fine, whatever it is, we should be mindful that we are not nearing the 6% bracket. That's what you have to talk about here. So here in the achievement part, you can talk about how we have remained range bound, blah, blah, blah. And then the debates which are happening, because every 5 year, they talk about this target, whether it should be revised or not. 2016, they talked about it in 2021, and they will again talk about it in March 2026. And there are different talks: headline versus core, acceptable level, and can we do it like 4 plus minus 1%? If we should not go near 6%. So there are talks. This plus minus 2% band is fine or not, or what should we do about it? 6% is little too dangerous when it comes to growth and maintaining a good balance between growth and inflation. Hope you are understanding. This is a technical article. Revise it. You will understand each and everything. Also revise yesterday's article and day before yesterday's article, guys. Just give me a second. So again, read all these things. And then this article is also saying that apart from inflation targeting, this is fine, but government also have to ensure that they are not borrowing too much. There is not too much fiscal slippage. Also, when you're talking about monetary policy committee and they ensure that 2 to 6% bracket is followed, they have measures, repo rate, reverse repo rate, via which RBI tries to control this particular inflation, reverse repo. But then there is an issue of monetary transmission. Let's say RBI reduces repo rate. If the commercial banks, they are not following it, then the impact will not be seen on the ground. So that is another thing, monetary transmission thing, which we have to talk about. So there are different other factors also. It's not like everything is in RBI's ballpark. RBI also has to look into other areas, or there are certain things which are beyond RBI's control, like borrowing thing of government, like how much commercial banks is listening to them, but then they have moral suasion and other policies. If you have read about economy and these terms, you will understand where we are going with this. So cool. So 4% target is good based on Chakravarti committee and Rangarajan sir, etc., and we should be wary about nearing 6%. That's what this article is saying, and that is the basic crux. Let's solve some question. MCQ 1. So which of the following correctly explains the difference between headline inflation and core inflation? What we have just discussed. What is headline inflation? What is core inflation? Mad King Iltush, they have given the answer. Headline inflation include all items in CPI, while core inflation excludes food and fuel. And that's why C. Rangarajan sir, etc. is saying that headline inflation should be the target. Monetary Policy Committee should not think about keeping core inflation as a target. Headline inflation is fine, whatever they are doing right now. Cool. So Matt King and Iltush, they have given the answer. Very good here. Vikas as well as Gajanan. Next question is MCQ 2. Monetization of fiscal deficit leads to inflation. Why? Why monetization of fiscal deficit? What was monetization of fiscal deficit? What we have discussed there. Revise that basic concept, guys, which I have just told you. 1970s, 80s, what used to happen a lot. What happens in monetization of fiscal deficit? Why it leads to inflation? First option, it increases money supply without an equivalent increase in output. It forces, second is, you see this, and you have to choose the best option. Again, a tricky question. This is a tricky question. So Iltush, Gajanan, they have given the answer. It increases money supply without an equivalent increase, and Iltush, Gajanan, Mad King, all of you have given the answer. So yes, in monetization of fiscal deficit, RBI is printing money. That money is going to government. They're spending it, but the supply has not increased in the same amount. So it increases money supply without an equivalent increase in output, and that's why the demand exceeds supply. And because demand exceeds supply, the price will increase, inflation will happen, as stated by Iltush, Gajanan, and Mad King. Very good. Next question, MCQ 3. Consider the following statements about inflation bands. Have a look at this. And again, use option elimination here. India currently uses a plus minus 2% band around the inflation target. Staying close to upper band for prolonged periods weaken the intent of FIT. Growth remains stable even when inflation goes beyond 6%. What have we discussed? What has this editorial written by Sri Rangarajan sir talking about? Think from that perspective. The sweet spot for growth is what? Use option elimination, you will get the answer. We have just discussed 6% is a danger area. Even if you are around, or you are even below 6%, that is a danger area. Optimal development happens at 4% based on that quadratic formula, this and that. So this third is wrong, right? If third is wrong, two options are gone. Now you don't even need to check for first, check the second one. Staying close to the upper band for prolonged periods weaken the intent of a flexible inflation target. That's what we have discussed. So the answer is A, 1 and 2 only, as stated by Mad King, Gajanan, Vikas, and Iltush. Very good. Now, next article of the day. We have talked about it 1,000 times, almost 1 million times. But this article will give you so many terms, guys. This is the most important article of the day. You may feel like, sir, we have already discussed Great Nicobar project, but the number of terms which will come in this article will be humongous. Like, NGT, we already know about it. If you don't, we will discuss. Then there will be Coastal Regulation Zone, CRZ, under which particular act. Then there will be NVWL, National Board for Wildlife. Who presides National Board for Wildlife? Then there will be, oh my God, like there are so many terms, so many species. One of the most important articles you will read for UPSC, EPFO, UPSC, CSE 2026. Very important article. So Pankaj, oh my God, Pankaj Sheikh Saria sir, who has written 7 books on Andaman and Nicobar Islands. We have discussed this Great Nicobar project. This is not means appearing for the first time. In the last 2-3 months, we have discussed this twice, I think. So, Great Nicobar project happening on the Great Nicobar Island, right? And you can revise previous articles also. This is a totally new article, will give you different perspective. So you have Great Nicobar Island here, and government is thinking about making transshipment port, this and that on this Great Nicobar Island. And now this article is saying that so many things are so wrong when it comes to this Great Nicobar project. We have discussed this NGT 2010, very good statutory body, National Green Tribunal. It's a, it's a tribunal, it's a quasi-judicial body. So there was an NGT hearing which happened on 30th October 2025. Union Environment Ministry, they are admitting, we keep on talking about this environmental projects, and whenever we talk about it, we talk about this. So there is environmental project, environmental conservation, and then economic development. And many people believe that they lie on the opposite spectrum. And this Great Andaman project is a great example of that. Here in this project, Union Environment Ministry, they are saying that yes, it will impact islands' rich biodiversity, but we cannot do anything about it. But why? Because we have to make this transshipment port here. We have to make an means airport here, power plant here. Plus, if you read about the history of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, you will realize trilat means Army, Navy, Air Force, all of them are there. So strategically also it's very important. So maybe that's why government is so keen on making this mega infrastructure project. But what will happen because of this mega infrastructure project, which even government is admitting? This Nicobar megapod, which is a vulnerable species, which is a bird actually, I will show you. This giant leatherback turtle, all these things will be gone more often than not. And government is saying that yes, we know these things will not be there or will be impacted severely, and that's why we are focusing on the mitigation measures. There are two concepts again here, guys. Swamp and tribe affected, very good, Vikas. Mitigation and conservation. Ministry is more focused on mitigation, reducing the impact. What will, like, why are you not thinking on conservation? Why are you not thinking about conserving these turtles and Nicobar megapod, this which is actually a type of bird which is under Schedule 1 of WPA 1972, getting maximum protection, and it is only found on this Nicobar Island. This is Nicobar megapod, and Schedule 1 vulnerable, and they will be gone. Like mostly they will be gone via this particular project, and government is admitting it. And so many things has happened which is actually not right, and we will try to see that, and we'll try to see the important things from exam perspective. So cost is 92,000 crore, and again there's another concept which we keep on talking about, which will also help you in GS4. So this is geography, this is environment, this is also GS4. We keep on talking about this concept also, utilitarianism, that it's not easy to be in government. You will conserve environment, you will do economic development or not, then government thinks about utilitarianism, maximum benefit for maximum people. If they're making this transshipment port, etc., maybe more people will be getting benefited rather than this environmental conservation thing. So now this project is facing lots of challenges in Green Tribunal, in Calcutta High Court, etc., etc. Because for Andaman related issues, you have to go to Calcutta High Court. So there is a Galathea Bay, which is there on this Great Nicobar Islands, where you have coral colonies, you have megapod, Nicobar megapod, which is a bird. We have seen it's vulnerable, it's under Schedule 1, maximum protection. And ministry is saying that we are aware of these, we are aware of how much impact these things will be having, and we will do mitigation measures till 2052. We will become a Viksit Bharat by 2047, and we will do mitigation measures till 2052. And like this is actually wrong, because, and we will see what else is wrong and why they're not focusing on conservation rather than on mitigation. NBWL, focus on these words, guys. In previous Hindu analysis, we have talked about NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority. Who is the head, guys? Who is the chairperson of NTCA? Anybody? Whenever you are reading these things, NBWL, NTCA, read them parallelly, guys. So NBWL, National Board for Wildlife, created under, like, I think Wildlife Protection Act. Do check that out. It was created in 2003, and the head is PM. Prime Minister, sir, is directly the head. On the other hand, National Tiger Conservation Authority, the head is MOEFCC, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. These are important things. If you're not reading them parallelly, you can make mistake. So NBWL, they denotified Galathea Bay Wildlife Sanctuary to protect So in 2021, they did this. They are like, denotified means lesser protection will be given to this Galathea Bay Wildlife Sanctuary. Why? Because they want to make this transshipment port and this and that. So you remove protection. You don't want to protect these vulnerable species. Some of these species are only found on Nicobar Island. MOEFCC, very good Iltush. And NBWL PM. So when NBWL is denotifying, that means directly PM sir is involved. How can he do that? Again, utilitarianism, maximum benefit for maximum people. In that regard, something has to give, and these people and these species, since they cannot speak, they will be the one who will be suffering. So this delisting is also removing protection. Things can go on here. And what else they have done? CRZ1A classification. So under Environmental Protection Act, see, there are so many keywords here, guys. So again, this is an important article. Environmental Protection Act passed in 1986. Wildlife Protection Act passed in 1972. NBWL, National Board for Wildlife, created under WPA. CRZ1A, Coastal Regulation Zone, created under EPA 1986. Environmental Protection Act 1986. Under this coastal regulation zone, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 coastal regulation zone. The zones which are under 1, they are under severe threat and they are under maximum protection. And even though under that one also, 1A is like of most important, like you can understand it is most important. You have to protect them, and major construction things are prohibited. Now what has happened? They have denotified it. They have converted it from CRZ1A to CRZ1B. Everything has been done in one way or the other. Doesn't matter rules and regulations, everything has been plotted so that this particular Great Nicobar project can go on. So again, these are the terms which you have to keep in mind. So this whole area, it was under coastal regulation zone 1A, maximum protection. We have discussed under EPA 1986. NGT said that why we are going ahead with this Great Nicobar project when it lies under CRZ 1A. High powered committee was set up, and then there will be another organization which we have to keep in mind. NCSCM, National Committee on Sustainable Coastal Management, which is under MOEFCC. What they did, they called, no, it was wrong. This is not under Coastal Regulation Zone 1A, it is under Coastal Regulation Zone 1B, so construction can go on. In Coastal Regulation Zone 1A, construction cannot go on. You can understand how government is bending the rules. We all love Modi sir, and we all love National Board for Wildlife. We know he cannot do anything wrong, but this feels wrong, guys. This does not feel right on so many different accounts. You are just bending the rules so that this Great Nicobar project can go on, and for that, so many different organizations are coming together. NBWL, National Board for Wildlife, directly under PM sir, they are denotifying this whole Galathea Bay. NSC or NSCSM, National Committee on Sustainable Coastal Management, and MOEFCC, they're changing this coastal regulation zone from 1A to 1B. You are doing anything and everything so that this project goes on, irrespective of environmental impact assessment, irrespective of how Nicobari people will be suffering. And then other issues which we have already discussed. There is so much lack of transparency, which is actually the norm under current government, although again, Modi sir cannot do anything wrong. So neither the NSCM, they did not even publicly made, the report, like they did not make the report public. Why they are changing, this port area from CRZ 1A to 1B. They're like, no, it's confidential, defense related regions. Although they have already said when they denotified it, when National Board for Wildlife denotified it, they said it is happening for commercial purpose. But whenever government does not want to disclose anything, defense related reason, security reason, Hindu khatre mein hai, India khatre mein hai, everything is in under khatre. So ministry has refused disclosure citing defense related reasons. Sad, sad, sad. But again, it is what it is. So Forest Department data for 2024 shows 600 plus leatherback nestings in Galathea Bay. This leatherback turtle, that particular bird species, which is there, megapod, which is there only on Nicobar, under Schedule 1, vulnerable, they all go to hell. Nobody cares about them. Given the recent official admission, where even Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they are saying that a lot of changes will happen in Nicobar. The article is saying that, this whole thing, which National Committee on Sustainable Coastal Management is saying, that this is under CRZ1B, this is so wrong. It is under CRZ1A, it receives or it needs maximum protection. Government should not do what they are doing. It's all very unscientific, and this is making a mockery of transparency, But again, Modi hai to mumkin hai, Modi sir is there, so everything is possible. Let's solve some question, guys. MCQ 4. This is so sad. National Board for Wildlife is chaired by and revised previous Great Nicobar articles, guys. It is in news. Now, this is one of the most important topics for UPSC CSE 2026. Revise all the Great Nicobar project articles which we have done earlier. I remember vividly, we have discussed it twice already. And every time we read something new, something very fascinating, something very interesting. So National Board for Wildlife is chaired by whom? Iltush, Mad King, Vikas, they have given the answer. And when you're reading National Board for Wildlife, at the same time, do read about NTCA. NTCA chaired by MOEFCC, not Prime Minister, sir. And here, NVWL chaired by Prime Minister, sir. So these are very important things. Iltush, Mad King, Vikas, Gajanan, all of you have given the answer. Very good. MCQ 5, National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management, which has changed the status from CRZ 1A to 1B of this whole, port area, is under which ministry? It's functioning under which particular ministry, guys? It's like everything is joke in our country these days, nothing matters. So, like, no rules, no regulations, anybody can do anything. Awesome, man. National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management functions under which ministry? So Iltush, Mad King, Vikas, Gajanan, all of you have given the answer. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Remember these facts. These are tricky things. Leaving aside the lawlessness and, there is no law as such. Government can do anything and everything. So leave aside that fact. It will only give you frustration, which I'm so totally frustrated now. But thing is, we have to understand it from exam perspective. What are the terms? There's so many terms in this article. You have to revise it 10 times, this article and the terms associated with it. MCQ 6. The Great Nicobar project's environmental clearance is controversial mainly because why? What is the best option here? You may feel like all options are best, but choose the best of the best. The project lies in designated biosphere reserve. India lacks a coastal regulatory framework. The project area overlaps with ecologically sensitive CRZ-1A regions. The Supreme Court issued a blanket ban on island development. Nobody is against economic development or, we're not against that. But things will have to happen in a certain order. If there were earlier rules, there was a reason why these rules were there. I don't know why. We have created a new parliament. Nobody goes to parliament. It's adjourned all the time. Just wastage of resource here, there, everywhere. So yes, what is the answer? So, but nature has its own way to respond, claiming human life at a time. Yes. So nature will do stuff. But again, life is very unfair. People whom you feel like they are the worst people on the planet, they will live for the longest period of time. People who are actually good, they will be gone soon. So life is unfair, and I don't. Okay. So Vikas, Mad King, Gajanan, Iltush, all of you have given the answer. The project overlaps with ecologically sensitive CRZ 1A regions. Now they're changing it to CRZ 1B so that construction can go on. Anything and everything they are doing. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Spread the word. And again, you can donate, you can join courses. Let's come to the next article. Page number 1, GS2. Central government notifies key parts of Digital Personal Data Protection Act, DPDP Act. So why this DPDP Act is coming? Because, in 2017, government gave a judgment, or what government? K.S. Swami judgment came. Supreme Court gave a judgment, K.S. Swami judgment, which said that right to privacy is an intrinsic part of right to life and personal liberty under Article 21, right? So right to privacy, we have a right to be forgotten. Generally what happens on Facebook, social media, etc. Once we put our information, it's there, even if you have deleted it. So to ensure that, there is right to be forgotten, data fiduciaries, they are doing things. Who are these data fiduciaries? We'll talk about this. So there are different terms which we have to understand. And UPSC has already asked multiple questions, you know thank you, Gajanan. So there are multiple. UPSC has already asked multiple PYQs on this right to privacy. UPSC 2021, UPSC 2024. They have asked questions on that. So this is important. Now, what is the issue with Digital Personal Data Protection Act? Government has got a key. So via this particular act, they are weakening RTI, Right to Information Act. What this Digital Personal Data Protection Act says, that I have a right to be forgotten, my information should not be diverged, but government can diverge it. This is about private entities. Government can secure your information. There are exceptions here also in this DPDP Act. Government can do whatever they want to do. They have already done Pegasus, although they do not accept it. Pegasus means installing, malware and snooping female journalists, snooping Rahul Gandhi, this and that. So again, all these things have been done. They can keep on doing that, but nothing will be done of the government. These fiduciaries, who are these data fiduciary? Data fiduciaries are companies. So let's say Facebook, they have our data. Let's say Instagram. I'm not in Instagram. I hate Instagram. So so these people, they are data fiduciary. They are processing our data. They will ensure what is happening to our data, Telegram, etc. So government has notified key part of DPDP Act 2023, Digital Data Protection Act. And again, you can see all the points. This is in a way, implementing the provision of 2017 KS Puttaswamy judgment, which says that right to privacy is part of Article 21. Very good. So again, here there are certain exemptions for states and its oh my God, instrumentalities. State can do whatever they want to do. They can, you know, uh, take our information, and again they can snoop on us, they can do anything, but it is for mainly for private companies, private entities. Activists are saying that this act is weakening RTI Act. In RTI Act we sometimes want information about different entities, and now these entities can say that no, I will, this should not be done because this is violating our DPDP Act or right to privacy of ours. So now what is happening? You can see all these things. Firms may face penalties for failure to protect personal data. What does it mean? Let's say Facebook. I went on Facebook. I am not on Facebook. I have deactivated my account on Facebook. Instagram, I have deleted it. Even after deletion, if my information is found on Instagram and I'm not very happy about it, Instagram can face penalties. My personal data has to be protected. I have a right to be forgotten. Remember these words, they are important. Right to be forgotten, what is data fiduciary, how it will undermine RTI Act, because again, via this particular act, government is trying to, because transparency is nothing, opaqueness is everything, and many people believe DPDP Act will promote opaqueness. It removes the obligation for public authorities to disclose personal information even when public interest outweighs privacy. Many PIL etc. have been filed related to Modi sir's degree and all those stuff. And again, I personally feel it's null and void. But the point is, these personal information will not be disclosed. Amendment to RTI now in force. So again, they are doing all the things to kill RTI, which is already dead now. We have discussed how RTI is almost dead now. So many information commissioners in different states, they're not appointed. RTI 2019 amendment happened. How earlier the appointment, they had a security of 10 years. These, Central Information Commissioner and other information commissioners, how that security of tenure is gone. So transparency has gone out of the window now. And again, DPDP Act is a final nail in the coffin of RTI. So companies have until November 2026 to implement the provision. You can read all these things. Now, Constitution of Data Protection Board of India will happen. A new notification fixes the size. 4 members will be there. They will implement it. This is an evolving development, guys. We'll talk more about it in subsequent, analysis also. Things will happen. Now they're drafting it, and they are saying that this data protection board will ensure that Facebook, Instagram, etc., and other companies which are data fiduciaries, do remember the word, who are data fiduciaries, who are processing your data, who have access to your data. They are data fiduciaries. Just remember Facebook, Amazon, Instagram, etc., etc. All these are data fiduciary. Even your or Netflix, etc., they will also come under data fiduciary. And if they are not implementing it properly, then Data Protection Board of India will look into the issues. You can complain against it. Members will be appointed by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, but none are selected yet. As we are saying, this is an evolving development. This will keep on happening. Section 8, Clause 1, Subclause J of RTI amended by DPDP Act. Very good, Iltush. Iltush is a good girl. So now evolution of DPDP Act, gone through major drafts, blah, blah, blah. NASCOM and DSCI. NASCOM is an association of software companies and their guys, and they created this DSCI. So they are happy, whatever is happening, and they're like, fine, we know data privacy and all those things are fine. But then you are talking about people who are not adult, they need parental consent. Let's say somebody is of 16 years of age and he wants to create an ID on Facebook. Parental consent will be required. How we will check that? You are not giving us proper deadlines, you're giving us short deadlines. How we will do that? Earlier they talked about data localization. Our data should be in India only, and these companies, they should create those set up centers where they are storing data. They should not, like Facebook should not store our data in US. It should be in India only. That is data localization. So these kind of different talks are going on. All in all, private companies, they're like, fine, we have to agree with you, but there are certain things we are not comfortable with. So again, it's a evolving thing. Criticism from civil society, final, death knell in the, or final death knell for RTI Act, privacy precedes, transparency. But again, governance is not an easy thing, guys. You cannot always criticize government. I don't know. There is no right and wrong answer here, but there is a tendency which is being seen, and that is what this article is talking about. Cool, you can have a look at it. We have discussed the major points associated with this article. Let's solve some questions. This is a question based on the previous article. Great Nicobar project, different terms in that project is very important, guys. I'm telling you, reiterating you, if I make, let's say for UPSC CSE 2026, if I make 50 most important articles for environment, not for everything, for environment, that will be in the top 5, Great Nicobar. So revise it properly, very important. Solve this question. Barring disclosure of personal info. Very, very, very good, Iltush. So the refusal to make NCSM report public in Great Nicobar case was justified by government on the grounds of what? So where they have converted it, they have converted it from CRZ1A to CRZ1B via this NS or NCSCM report, National Committee on Sustainable Coastal Management under MOEFCC. What grounds, government, why isn't they are not making it public? What they said, what was the reason given by them? So Iltush Gajanan, they have given the answer. So the answer is national security and defense related component. So they invoke this thing whenever they want to keep some certain thing private. Very good here. Now this is a question which was asked by UPSC in 2024 as well as 2021. What is the answer, guys? Under which of the following articles of Constitution of India has the Supreme Court placed the right to privacy? Article 15, 16, 19, 21. Iltush has given the answer, Vikas has given the answer, Mad King has given the answer, Gajanan has given the answer, Article 21. Article 21 is right to life and personal liberty. If a question has been asked twice already, guys, please revise it properly. Cool. Page number 13, GS3. Again, we have talked about GI tag, I think 1 or 2 days back, where government has reduced the price, if somebody wants to come and file GI tag from 5,000 to 1,000, I guess. So GI tag, geographical indication tag, which has a statutory backing via 1999 Act of GI Act of 1999. Darjeeling tea, first product to get GI tag. So Gujarat, Ambaji marble, it has got GI tag. How does it Ambaji marble looks like? Many people feel like even Taj Mahal is getting, blackened, but this white marble will not. So Ambaji marble, you see this? And Dilwara temple in Mount Abu, they use this particular Ambaji marble. So it has got GI tag. These are important, guys. UPSC has asked multiple questions on GI tag earlier. And we have also discussed how these GI tags, they are different from trademark, patents, copyrights. So again, trademark, unique to a particular company. And then you have what you have. You have copyright, let's say AR Rahman, etc. They're making some music, on that they will get copyright. And then you have patent, Novartis, etc. They're making some drugs, pharmaceutical, they will get a patent. And this is GI tag applicable for 10 years, and then it has to be renewed. It can be renewed for any number of times. It's not like it can be renewed only twice, this and that. So again, important, remember these. Ponchampalli Ikat of Telangana, it has also got GI tag. So you have to make a list. That day, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, we have seen a list of products. So now this is the season of GI tags. Many products will get GI tag status. You have to make a list of it. You have to remember them. Ambaji Marble from Gujarat, they have got this GI tag from Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Everybody is happy in Gujarat. Very good. Cool. And many people are saying that it is very durable. Dilwara Jain Temple at Mount Abu, when it was built, they used this Ambaji Marble. So even now, Taj Mahal is aging, but Ambaji Marble will not. Again, this is also used in US, New Zealand, and England. You can read this. Just remember Ambaji marble, what it is. Now, what is the meaning of geographical indication? Revise yesterday and day before yesterday. I don't remember when we discussed GI. Maybe yesterday or day before yesterday. So revise that. We have talked a lot of different things related to GI. What is the answer of this particular question? Choose the best option. Vikas has given the answer. Iltush has given the answer. Certification identifying goods based on their geographical origin and characteristics. That is GI, that is geographical indication. Now let's solve this question, which many people hate. Consider the following pairs: GI product and their state. Ambaji marble, Kashmir saffron, Ponchampalli ikat. How many pairs are correctly matched? So Vikas, Iltush, Gajanan, you people have given the answer. What is the answer of this question, guys? Again, this is a good question. I have already told you, Ponchampalli ikat belongs to which particular state. The more you solve these questions, the more you will be able to solve. Mainly people hate these kind of pair related question. Only one, only two, all three, none. So what is the answer? Iltush has given the answer. So we have just seen Ambaji marble. It is from Gujarat, right? Kashmiri saffron. The name already states it's from Jammu and Kashmir. Ponchampalli ikat. It's not from Tamil Nadu. It's from Telangana, right? So third is wrong. If third is wrong, as Iltush, Vikas, and Gajanan stated, B only two is correct. Very good, yeah. Then page number 15, GS1, GS2. Iran seizes oil tanker in Strait of Hormuz. Now, earlier again, we have discussed strait. What is strait? A narrow water body connecting two larger water bodies. Strait of Hormuz connects Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman. And Gulf of Oman is a part of Arabian Sea. So you can also say that it connects Persian Gulf with Arabian Sea. Strait of Hormuz. Strait, narrow water body connecting two larger water bodies. Isthmus, narrow landmass connecting two larger landmass. So we have even discussed important states of the world. So you have Strait of Hormuz, you have Bering Strait, which is very close to international date line, and make a list of all these and solve. And we have solved also PYQs and states. Solve those PYQs and state, guys. So Iran, and again, you see this particular image, which is about important states of the world. And here there are certain states on which UPSC has already asked a lot of PYQs. They have already asked a PYQ on Malacca state. We have discussed it earlier. We are currently talking about Strait of Hormuz. Babel Mandab is also very important. Bering State already asked by UPSC a PYQ, which we have solved earlier. Which of the following state is very close to international dateline? Then Cook Strait is also important. Sunda Strait is important. But yes, Malacca Strait is very important. Taiwan Strait was in news. Very important. Bering Strait, PYQ has been asked, very important. Then Strait of Gibraltar, which connects Mediterranean Sea with Atlantic Ocean, very important. So there are some states which are actually Telangana, exactly, Iltush. So there are some states which are actually very important, guys. Revise these states, solve all the, Dover Strait, Davis Straits. They are also important, but yeah, Dover Strait is also important. I think UPSC PYQ has already been asked on that. So solve all these PYQs on all these states. They are important. Very, very, very important. So what has happened on this particular strait? So Strait of Hormuz, as we have just seen, Strait of Hormuz. So generally, these kind of straits, they are, and the trade here, transportation here, it is regulated by UN clause, United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. But Iran, when you will see Strait of Hormuz, it's very close to Iran, right? So Iran sometimes does not agree with what UN clause say on the passage through Strait of Hormuz. So what they have done is they have captured a particular tanker, which US is saying, and what is the name of that particular tanker? This Talara. So they have flagged oil tanker Talara in Strait of Hormuz. US official has confirmed it. Why is US official confirming it when this Talara is actually, a Marshall Island based? You will see this. This is a Marshall Island flagged oil tanker. Marshall Islands, these are group of islands in Oceania. Oceania means near Australia and New Zealand. Marshall Islands are there. They have a very good relation with US. They have signed some treaties, and in a way, if Iran is seizing Marshall Island tanker, they are antagonizing US. Already Iran-Israel war has happened. US has bombed Iran. God knows what will happen now. So US is not very happy with seizing of this particular tanker, and you can understand why Iran is doing, because Strait of Hormuz is very close to Iran, and they are like, no, we have certain rights. You have this nautical miles. You have these EZ, etc., etc. So there is a contention, and Iran sometimes do not agree with what UN clause states on Strait of Hormuz. So first such tanker seizure in several months. Iran has not publicly acknowledged it. US is saying that it has happened. What is important from exam perspective? Strait of Hormuz, what particular water bodies it connects. That's it. And this Talara was going from UAE to Singapore when Iranian forces intercepted it, according to US officials. So let's see how this event unfold. For us, the important fact is, remember these states, guys, they are actually important. Now, MCQ 11, what is the answer? Chepandi is the answer. Chepandis. So Strait of Hormuz connects what? Persian Gulf and Gulf of Aden, Red Sea and Arabian Sea, Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea. Vikas Gajanan, which question, guys? So again, think about this particular question, MCQ 11. We'll discuss it on Monday at 8 a.m. Then this question is also your homework. What is data fiduciary? We have talked about DPDP Act, DPDP Act of 2023. What do you understand by the term data fiduciary? So again, an important question, 11 and 12. So Vikas, Iltush, they have given the answer. Think about that question. Think about 12th also. These two questions are your homework, guys. Cool. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Spread the word. You can join this Telegram channel. I will share this video by 9:30 a.m. You can post your score. You can join these courses. If you have any queries related to any course, you can send me a WhatsApp message at 9650303257. You are your own competition. You can also donate if I'm helping you in any way. That's it from me. Thank you, everyone. Vikas has also given the answer. Iltush and Vikas, they have given the answer for 11th. Like, Iltush has given the answer for 11th. Vikas has given the answer for both. We'll discuss it on Monday at 8 a.m. So that's it from me, guys. I'm going now. I will see you people. Thank you, Vikas. See you people on Monday at 8 a.m. Take care. Be blessed. Tata. Bye bye.